you? So, I've noticed recently that there's a few things that I do without think about it, and I've just realized I think I do this every stream, and I don't purposely sit there and plan to do this every stream. I'm just now realizing like things that I always fucking do, and I don't know why. So now I'm gonna try not to always do these things all the time. See if I can like think about it, right? So what I've noticed that I've always been doing is like I'll be like smiling before my transition sometimes, particularly between like the introductions and like the conclusions. I don't know why. um, and I don't know. There was something else too that I'm blanking now on. Can't speak. There are other things too, but all of a sudden I feel like I'm blanking on them, and I had just thought about them. But my defense, I haven't even finished my coffee yet today, so yeah, my brain is still waking up. I'm still processing, still doing whatever. Okay, so today what we're going to be discussing is our ongoing coverage of the Google Monopoly case, and well, cases. So previously in our previous coverage, I was relatively confused on if it was one case or different cases. And then for a second, I had thought that it was potentially one case. And then I believe it was last live stream where I fully processed, oh, wait, no, two different cases. So, um, before we get into the full live stream today, I will go over what I have set up in the description of my playlist for the Google Monopoly playlist for these cases, where I have labeled my coverage so far as it relates to each specific case and show you how I am processing the difference in the cases for now and which streams have been covering what in regards to these cases in terms of both legal documentation coverage and news coverage. So we'll go over that so far. And then we're going to get into the main portion of this live stream, which is we'll be going over the plaintiff presentation from 2022. And this is in the, I believe it's in the case management documentation. Um, and yeah, this is in the case documentation, right? Wait, why did it say yeah? Wait, now, is that, yeah, wait, hold on. This is all brought together. Yes, yes it is. Okay, here, it's right here. Okay, I was gonna say, I thought I saw it, and then after that, I didn't see it again, and I was like, wait a minute, and so I had to do the Control F thing, where you can find a word in the document, because I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, it's right here. It all blurs together. Anyway, fucking my vision's not that good. So we're gonna go over that. It's pretty long, but to be honest, I kind of think it's worth it. And a good portion of it is, I mean, there is a lot to read in it, but also some of the stuff isn't shit I really need to read. It's that much, really, you know. Um, and so yeah, and then I will start just seeing like depending on how long that takes. What I hope to get done today also is to start getting into the trial exhibits. I'm hoping I can start that today, and if so, then I'm just gonna do like as many that as I can mentally get through. I don't know how much time I'll have to live stream today, so I need to do some other things, but I'm just gonna go for as long as it feels right, I guess. And fucking yeah, so we'll see how much of the trial exhibits we can get through, but I imagine that's going to take us several parts. So between finishing up the trial exhibits and then which I'm going to start today, but we won't be able to finish. Well, I think I can start it. I'm going to try to start it today. Between that and the remedies as it relates to this case, I'll be wrapping up like the legal documentation coverage there, I believe. And I think I might end up having to cover like any type of like appeal thing that happens, I'm assuming. But yeah, fucking. So overall, we'll be wrapping up the coverage with it soon. And in case you haven't seen the previous coverage, spoiler alert, Google has been found as a monopoly as it relates to the search uh, case, if I'm understanding everything correctly. And so there's like the search monopoly case as it relates to the search ads, and then there is like more of just the ad technology case as well, where we are currently covering two monopoly cases as it relates to Google. Um, and yeah, fucking okay. So I'm gonna roll my intro now, and then we're gonna actually do this damn thing. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like this. I was about to smile again, then I was like, wait a minute, bitch, hold on. I guess now I'm technically smiling. Fuck, man. Shit. I know what. Okay, my bad. Fuck. Whatever. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't. Alright. Hi, my name is Alexis, also known as Lexi or Deaf Child. I was born deaf, hard of hearing. I began doing business as Deaf Child 2013, marketing 2011, sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales. My Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. Anyway, I'm here to bitch about whatever the fuck is on my mind. So here we go. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. So, first up here, you know what? I love how I'm just now making sure I'm not muted. This could have been like a whole 7 minutes in. I already wrote the intro. It could have been muted. Anyway, fuck it. Uh, so today I just wanted to start off here with kind of outlining how I'm trying to mentally organize the coverage that I've done so far and am doing. And I didn't really realize kind of in a way what I was covering until after I covered it. Otherwise, I probably could have structured this better, but whatever. I guess like making sense of how I did it isn't, I didn't do too bad. Could have been better. Wasn't that bad. I don't know. So currently, we have begun coverage on two Google monopoly cases. The first is the search and search ads, which is on Judge Mehta's docket, Mehta. And so I don't know if I'm using the correct words because shit, I don't know shit about fuck about the law, like I don't know, but y'all know what the fuck I mean, right? So there we go. And then two, ad tech on Judge Brinkema's court docket, and I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I don't think. Sorry. Maybe I should have totally probably looked this shit up at this point. That's my bad. I'll make a mental note to do that. Okay, so as it relates to the search and search ads focused legal documentation coverage, we've covered Judge Mehta's court, where the initial complaint was filed in 2020. The pre-trial brief was filed 2023. The trial exhibits filed 2023. And trial materials so far have been filed 2023 through 2024. And the case and discovery management documentations filed 2020 through 2024. And so, yeah, regarding that legal documentation coverage so far. And so first, we started off with the Thursday thoughts on the concept of, did Google build an illegal monopoly? And Google was sued by the Department of Justice. And here we went over the pre-trial brief and the trial materials. Next up, we went into the Full Stop Friday initial complaint Department of Justice filed against Google 2021 relating to the search and search ads monopoly, where we went over the initial complaint. In this live stream, I, at the end, thought that it was one case regarding the monopolization of search and the ad technology, but what's happening with the search monopoly is they're discussing the monopoly as it relates to both the organic search marketing and the paid search advertising. So that's still one search monopoly case. And that's where I had gotten confused on that wording, where I was like, well, they're still talking about the ads here, you know? But there is a separate case on the ad technology itself, which we'll get to in a second. So, yeah. And then But in Afternoon Kaboom, Big Tech Trials, the Google Search Monopoly, Motion and Dismiss Appeal, Sanctions More, that's where I fully started processing and realizing the difference here in these two cases. And here we went over the amended complaint, case and discovery management documentations as it relates to the legal documents. And then now we are, if you're here on the Rise and Shine video, and I went ahead and put this in the description of the video. And so, yeah, my plan here is to cover our Google Search Monopoly 2020, and I'm hoping I have time and can go over our 22 plaintiff presentation, as well as beginning 2023 trial exhibits part 1. If we run out of time, that will just get made into a different live stream, of course. So, yeah. And so in this regard, we'll be going over the plaintiff presentation, which is part of case discovery, and the trial exhibits. And then after I feel like I have gotten a better wrap up on this case with its legal documentation, then I will begin the coverage on the legal documentation as it relates to the ad tech focused monopoly case under Judge Brunkema, which their initial complaint was filed 2023. So the ways that differentiate the cases are two different monopolies. One, we have the search monopoly. Two, we have the ad tech monopoly. Okay, then we have two different judges. So the search monopoly is under Judge Mehta, and the ad tech monopoly is under Judge Brinkman. Okay, then we've got the initial complaints were filed in 2 different years. So the search and search ads monopoly under Judge Mehta's complaint was filed in 2020. The ad tech on Judge Brinkman's monopoly court document, I'm not saying the right words, you know what I mean, was filed in 2023. So that's how I differentiate the cases in my head when I'm processing here. Because from the news coverage, like, I was getting real confused. Like, so first I was like, okay, there's 2 cases. Then I was like, wait, it's 1 case. And I was like thinking like it's, okay, it's all this case. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's 2 cases. Like, I was confused. So now I am very, like, I'm positive. I feel like these are facts. We know what's happening here. Processing, finding the cases, like, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so moving on. That's the legal documentation coverage recap. Now let's get into the news coverage recap so far. And I might do more news coverage later, but for now I'm going to focus on trying to bang out as much of this legal documentation as I can for 2 Shakes of a Lamb's Tail. But the news coverage we have done on all of this, on the Google monopoly as it relates to both the search and the advertising technology, which the coverage on these 2 cases is relatively combined with the news coverage. And that's partly because of how I found out about it. It's already got lumped together that way. And then from there, partly because of, as I was covering, didn't realize the differences yet. And then I was just like, well, we're here now. So, yeah, so the news coverage is lumped together, but I'm going to try to keep the legal documentation relatively separate. So for the news coverage, I've put in the description where the videos are that I've covered these news sources, as well as in the description where the news source was published or who it was published from. So first, we covered the concept of did Facebook kill MySpace, and that's where we started addressing the concept of could Google have been monopolizing or using its powers as a monopoly to harm a competition. That's where we first started addressing this theory. And we saw news coverage from Petapixel, the former MySpace CEO post, and on LinkedIn, and 2 commentary channels. And this post actually becomes highly relevant in the last video I did where it relates to the motion dismiss appeal. So when I first started reading that motion dismiss appeal, at first I was like, oh fuck, I'm reading this irrelevant motion to the case because I had thought it was going to be, maybe it was something preemptive related to how the case could be appealed. So that's why I started reading it, because I didn't know what I was reading until I started like processing live with you guys. You know what I'm saying? Um, but then fucking I was just like, okay, so as I was reading it, I'm realizing this guy is talking about MySpace shit, and I Google who it is. It's a former CEO of MySpace that the appeal is on. And so, regarding to that appeal, that dude, the former MySpace CEO, wait, what? The former CEO of MySpace, what the fuck is wrong with me? Um, is literally like, uh, I don't know what's wrong. I'm gonna drink some coffee. Hold up. Okay, the former CEO of MySpace, fuck, is fucking making this post on LinkedIn about how Google killed MySpace, right? And then it was also written about in an article, which was the Petapizzo article from the Perceiving in the Evening solicitation of Bob Ross that Facebook kills MySpace video I did. Well, then in the acting kaboom, big tech trials, Google search monopoly, in the motion to dismiss the appeal, first I started covering it. I'm thinking like, God damn it, I'm covering this unrelated shit. Well, it turns out to be related because it was related to the MySpace thing. So they were trying to be like, we're included too because Google has a monopoly. Fuck this over. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming and I think that's kind of what was happening there. And the government was like, this has nothing to do with you. Get the fuck out of here. We're trying to deal with some other shit in this case right now, and you're gonna fuck up how good our case is by trying to argue for you too. Basically, is what I think happened, in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a lawyer. This is just my very poor, rough interpretation and summary of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So yeah, fucking. So then, after that, I was covering in relation to news coverage. I had also covered two commentary channels in that Facebook Kill My Space video too. And so then, in relation to the Google monopoly concept, I also covered in my Thursday Thoughts, Did Google Build an Illegal Monopoly? Google Sued by the Department of Justice video. We looked at sources from CBS News, NPR, and Bloomberg Law. And then also in the afternoon kaboom, Big Tech Trials, Google Search Monopoly, Motion to Dismiss, Appeal, Sanctions, and More video, we looked at commentary from The Verge, NPR, The Dispatch, PBS, Holland and Knight Law, The Guardian, as well as Amanpour and Company via PBS. And so, yeah, so this sums up the current coverage we've done so far on the Monopoly case, relating to the search and search ads, as well as the news coverage as it relates to both the search and ad technology coverage. We have not begun coverage on the ad tech focused legal documentation yet, but I will after I feel like I've better wrapped up the search and search ads. What we're going to do here is finish up, bang out our plaintiff presentation, bang out the trial exhibits, and then finish up. Eventually, I'll be covering the remedies when that comes out, and I might not wait, depending on how long that takes. I probably won't wait for that to come out before I start coverage on the search. I mean, on the ad technology legal documentation, because that case is gonna happen soon. But in terms of like a actual trial date, but I will be going ahead and fucking yeah, trying to finish as much of the trial exhibits as I can before we get into that. Okie dokie. So enough of that. Y'all get the fucking point. Now we're gonna fucking move on here. I might need to adjust my screen. We're gonna move on here to the concept of United States and plaintiffs, States versus Google LLC. We are back focusing on our 2020 case. We are under Judge Mehta, Mehta's court docket here, related to the search and search ads monopoly. That is where we are in this case here, giving you your timeline, your time frame, your judge, and the specific monopoly case, because there's two of them that I know of out right now, as well as some other court cases I need to cover too. These are the two main ones we're thinking about and covering right now. Well, me and you if you're following this. Okay, so yeah, fucking. What I wanted to do was to finish up with one more thing in the discovery and case management documents I had thought about covering, but it was the plaintiff's September 2022. Where are you at? The plaintiff's presentation. Ah, right here. And so I wanted to check that out as well because I feel like it's a pretty good summary of everything. And I first started looking at it and I was like confused because I was like, didn't we cover all this shit because of the trial materials and the closing decks that we had went over? When I was seeing, I was like, I'm pretty sure we looked at some of the stuff in these closing decks. And so that's why I had thought that we had already covered it. But then I started scrolling through and I'm like, actually, I think some of this could be different. And I actually think it's actually a pretty good summary of all of these trial materials that we ended up going through. And so, yeah, I feel like the trial materials and everything has some of the more concrete evidence. If you want to go back and look at some of the more specifications that this is that even correct English? Whatever, you know what I mean. That this fucking presentation is going to be covering. But yeah, I feel like it's worth just going through, so we're gonna fucking do that now. So now we are moving on here. We are gonna be looking at this Prezi. And so this is the plaintiff presentation from September 2022 in the case United States et al. Versus Google. And again, we are on the search and search ads monopoly case in Judge Mehta, Mehta's court. So yeah, I don't think that's correct legalese, but whatever. And so yeah, this case, part of what it covered was, if we remember correctly, the agreements it had with Android, recap on that. The Android agreements, they would have things like they would make it so they had to have the Google search bar on the home screen. And another thing that they would have would be like, so it was all the apps were bundled, so they wouldn't allow you to use one part of Google unless you downloaded all these other apps with Google, and they had to be put on the phone in a way that it was undeletable. And so fucking, and part of that too was where for Android, they had to have the Google Play Store in order to put apps on their devices. And so, then they had to have all the other shit because of the agreements, right? And so, yeah, fucking, and there was a revenue share agreement, I believe, either a revenue share agreement or another type of agreement that was similar that I'm forgetting the name of, that wasn't the exact same, but close enough-ish, similar points to it, like end goals. Um, fucking, but this other one, but these agreements that they were locked into as well also would be like where like Apple and Android would be in some similar but different ones, right? So obviously Apple wouldn't be as locked in some ways as Android because they have their own Play Store and shit like that, so they don't need Google to necessarily function itself, kind of, in a way. But Apple did sign contracts with Google where Safari would have Google as the default browser and other things like that. So that there are ways that they are locked in some ways that you could argue too. So yeah, so they are different. There's very different scenarios and deals that happen between companies such as Apple and Android in this case. But that is how it all got fucking kind of like lumped together in these deals, which is where they're kind of arguing that that is where the monopolization is taking place. You know what I'm saying? And we'll keep going, and then I'm sure the presentation will connect this all better for me. But I'm still processing this shit, so I don't know if that's a good summary. But yeah, fucking okay. So they had these agreements, and I don't even know. You can Google to make sure you know what these stand for. So there were the RSA is the revenue share agreement, which is what I was telling you about, where like they would be getting the money for it, but then that money would be contingent on all of these other things taking place as well. And that money is also part of why there is no incentive for competition because, for example, Apple thought about creating their own search engine, but they would lose so much fucking money if they did that that they decided not to do it after all. And so yeah. And then the MADA, if I remember correctly, that one stands for mobile application. Shit. Nope, I forgot. Um, fucking so the mobile that one, was I think I think that was the one that related to, I think that was the mobile application distribution agreement, if I remember correctly. And if I remember correctly, that might be the agreement that relates to um, the bundling of everything and the mobile aspect of, you know, fucking over Android, in my opinion, potentially, possibly. Maybe I'm wrong. I forget what the fuck the ISA stands for, but I believe that it is a similar agreement to the Android RSA thing, but it just basically makes it more um, relevant to the specific terms that were related to Apple because they were very different agreements. And then the AFA and the ACC, I forgot what the fuck those stand for, and I forgot what the fuck those did. But I remember when I was reading it, I was like, wow, that's fucked up. But now I don't remember what the fuck. um, but yeah, we'll see if this presentation tells us that. So in the presentation previously, I didn't realize so I saw that I looked at this and I was like, oh, they're explaining how the default settings lead to where people search from the same place and get their data from one place, which influences the search and the ad quality that place is able to provide and generates money, which is how they secure their defaults. So that's what this cycle is explaining. Um, and so before understanding the case, I was looking at this and thinking of it like, oh, okay, like just on a more superficial marketing level. And I also don't think I was processing that when they changed the color of each part of this going further in the presentation in the closing dockets, it was because of the section it was addressing in the presentation. So I'm wondering if the same is going to happen here. But yeah, okay, let's keep going. So we have our roadmap regarding our general search industry overview, general search mechanics, search distribution, and Google search distribution contracts, as well as a search advertising industry overview. So, in the United States et al. Versus Google LLC, and the nature of this action. What is highlighted here, and we read this whole thing, I believe this is from the initial complaint, and so I already read the initial complaint in the initial complaint video if you want to go read the whole thing. But in the nature of this action part, it highlights here, for many years, Google has used anti-competitive tactics to maintain and extend its monopolies in the markets for general search services, search advertising, and general search text advertising, the cornerstones of its empire. So related to our roadmap, right now we're going to be discussing, I believe, the general search industry overview. And so they provide a search timeline here. So in 1989, we have the production of the World Wide Web. In 1990, we get our first browser. Oh, 1993, that's when I was born. And I love how this is when it says it's site enters, and that's the year I was born. Yeah, you're right, bitch. I'm here. I'm just kidding. That's funny to me. Okay, 1994. I don't even know what the fuck Excite is though, because what the fuck is Excite 1993? Because I'm thinking Excitement General Marketing. Oh, that was a web portal. Yeah, okay. Baby me. 1994, Yahoo enters, and so does Lycos. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Guess it's another one. 1995, we've got Alta Vista. 1997, Ask Jeeves, now known as Ask.com. 1998, Google enters as well as Microsoft. 2001, its site exits independent. Lycos exits independent. And in 2003, it looks like Google, it says Google at 30%. I'm wondering if that means market share. I'm going to assume they mean Google at 30% market share, but I could be wrong. Here it asks, what is general search? I love how they ask, let me go philosophical. Let's go super broad. What does it mean to look for something, right? Self-exploration, discovery. I'm still trying to find myself. Okay, my bad. And then it goes into one-stop shopping, capable of answering all types of queries, reduces mental costs and time, answers from a broad variety of sources, habit formation, easy to access on mobile devices and browsers. Then addressing general search, it gives an example of a search query. You could look up visiting Japan, and then you're going to find search queries related to best time of year to visit Japan, best hotels in Japan, sumo wrestling tickets, best suitcase for Japan travel, etc. And then in relation to general search, there's also what's known as, in terms of like the keywords, you have what's called, particularly, we have a head, torso, and tail. If you have a short tail keyword, that might be one or two words. I kind of feel like this may not really apply because it's kind of hard for me to think of one or two words in three parts. I'm like, it's a fucking concept. But when we're getting into those broader phrases, such as learning basic Japanese, we can see our head, torso, and tail. So, the tail, like our focus is on Japanese, but what we're doing here is we are trying to learn and basic. So what it does is it separates, typically when people, it kind of relates our search queries and how we think of the search terms as people would word it based on our language. And so because I know English, we're going to be talking about English, right? Fucking, so typically, we've got here, so we have, what are we doing? We have a verb. We have what type of are we doing? Basic. And we're going to be specific for what kind. You know what I'm saying? So, um, basic Japanese, it's addressing where the origin is from, what exactly we're learning. And then basic is addressing how we're learning it in terms of what level, right? So what are we doing? We're learning something. What are we learning? Japanese. What level of Japanese? Basic, right? And so when you think of it in terms of head, torso, and tail, then you're able to identify and think of you're able to come up with other types of concepts to rank for specific tail words. And then by grouping it by the tail, essentially, or grouping it by head or torso, for example, or whatever you need to group it by, you can then think of and market related content together, and it helps you better organize your marketing and track what is performing when you're trying to rank for specific things, on top of understand better how do people word their searches whenever they are looking for something. And so that's how marketers think when we're doing search engine optimization. And I believe that's also how humans can sometimes be programming these algorithms to process these keywords, in my opinion, because of the way people are taught to then act on it. But maybe that's just me for assuming that. Okay. So then it shows queries here, and it shows an example here, like with head, we could say United Airlines. And so this is related to, we're looking for a flight, but what type of flight? We're looking for specifically from a United Airlines flight right here. So what do we want? United Airlines. Okay, so our torso right here, we could say train schedule from Tokyo to Kyoto. So here with the torso, what we're looking at here we can kind of see what are we looking at. We want to train. Where do we want it to go from Tokyo to Kyoto? And when we need to see the schedule. So when we're thinking about here, when you're thinking about a head keyword, you're thinking about what is just the subject going to be. When you're thinking about the torso, you're thinking about the body. You're thinking about general generalities and more specifics about a concept, but you're not necessarily going with words that might have the highest, and it could have it. So a head has you can typically have a lower intent to purchase. It's typically a general search. A torso has more of an interest. It's a higher level of interest, but it's not necessarily always 100% at looking for the buying stage. It's still more of in the deciding whether or not or what to buy stage. Versus the tail is when you're getting into the I know specifically what I'm buying, and that's typically going to be more of a high intent. You know what I'm saying? So here we have ramen restaurant in Hakone, Japan with red awning. So if they find a ramen restaurant in Hakone, Japan with a red awning, they're probably going to go there. You know what I mean? Because that's a very specific search. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and that's how that all kind of connects. And so with general search, we have a search engine results page, which is also known as SERP. But SERP just sounds like it's like I feel like it's hard for me to say. And so I just often just say the search engine results page. And yeah. So there is a difference in the results between the organic results and the ads. Um, so back in the day, actually, they used to not even fucking disclose if it was an ad or not. And then there were laws that came out where they have to disclose if it's an ad. And so typically you should be seeing if it's an ad, it'll say ad, but sometimes it'll also say sponsored now instead of the word ad. It'll either say ad or sponsored. Typically it should, if it's an ad or something like that. You know what I mean? To that effect, it's supposed to. And where it says, what are dimensions of quality in general search? So with search quality, we have relevance, accuracy, latency, safety, device optimization, privacy, freshness, and many others. So with latency in regards to search, I see the concept of latent or latency referred to in two ways. So for example, there is, I believe if I remember correctly, it is one of the core web vitals is called latent contentful. Is it, wait, I get the lateful contentful paint, or I think, I get confused. Look, it all blurs together. There's three core web vitals. I know that they impact, our page and our speed loading time. One impacts the visual stability, so the things, shift after they're loading, and then one impacts how long do we have to wait before we can interact with it. You know what I'm saying? So those are three core web vitals. I know the English of it, but I forget those technical terms. Fuck it. Anyway, so, but when we talk about latency, it can be used sometimes in reference to how long does something take to load, because you know what I mean, that can impact your ability to rank in Google search based on core web vitals. Or sometimes latency can refer to what's also known in keyword indexing as latent semantic indexing. And that is where it's the concept of how you are ranking your keywords based on the everyday words and vernacular that people use to search for you. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, for example, if you're a doctor and you're trying to rank for bronchopulmonary dysplasia, then a lot of people aren't necessarily going to go Google bronchopulmonary dysplasia because they don't know what the fuck that is. Am I even saying that right? Um, but if you rank for premature baby or person with underdeveloped lungs type shit, then you might get more likely to get found for, you know, that type of shit, right? For example, um, so yeah, that's what I mean. So the concept of latent semantic indexing is semantics. They're just being fucking fancy with it, like they're just being too complicated, I think. So indexing just means your ability to rank online. Semantics is just your word choice, just arguing which specific words. And then by latent, I think they mean that you basically need to make sure you're keeping up to speed with what are the words being used right now to get found for what you're doing. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, just think of it that way. But yeah, so it can be, yeah, I don't know how, like, I'm over here, let's talk about the court case, then we spend 10 fucking minutes on the concept of latency. My bad. Okay, let's keep going. I don't think it actually has been 10 minutes. I'm exaggerating. I don't know how long it's been, actually. I think it's been like 5, but whatever. Who knows? Okay. So, it takes us back to the search timeline, and it shows us here in 2008, DuckDuckGo enters. And then it asks, who provides general search in the United States? And it looks into independent versus syndicated here. And so we're looking at Microsoft and Yahoo team up to ding Google with Bing. Ding. It's cute. Okay. So interesting. That's a headline here. And then another headline, and that headline is from Seattle something. I can't tell what that says. And then another one from the Daily News looks like Microsoft, Yahoo team up. Internet search partnerships set stage for assault on Google. What is the year on this? The year looks like it's 2009. So yeah, and here back to our timeline, it shows us 2009, Microsoft Yahoo syndication deal, and it says Google at 80+%. I'm assuming that's market share. And then it shows in 2010, Ask.com exits independent. Yahoo.com exits independent. In 2013, AltaVista exits. In 2021, Neva enters, Brave enters, and You enters. Okay. So, general search providers. Our independent general search services right now are Google Search, Microsoft Bing, and Brave. We have syndicated general search services from DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Neva, You, Ecosia, and Ask.com. Our next slide here on general search providers is redacted, so I'm going to skip through that. And then it says, what is not a general search engine? Not general search. Specialized search services and other websites such as Amazon, Yelp, Expedia, Facebook, Wikipedia. So this is extremely relevant because, in my opinion, Google was basically trying to argue that because these other companies are successful, they're not a monopoly. So, by the court legally being able to argue that there is a distinguishment between Google as a general search service versus these other platforms as specialized search services and other websites, they're able to then make their better case that Google is actually monopolizing this fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion, though. Okie dokie. And then it continues here with not general search, but this shit is redacted, so we'll keep going. And then it also says with not under the not general search concept, specialized search services and other websites. Oh, I just read that. It adds another bar underneath. It says voice assistants, Siri, Alexa, Bixby, and Google Assistant. And then it also adds device search, Apple Spotlight, as well as Samsung S Finder. And then relating to not general search, it has like a comparison chart here between competition among internet companies. It shows the internet companies as well as the products that each one's offer, and it checks and off has a check mark by what each product is offered for each company. So yeah, we'll just take it from the top here. So Amazon, they have operating systems, ebooks, smartphones and devices, video and music distribution, streaming video, home delivery services, special purpose search engines, digital assistants, advertising platforms, cloud services. I think this is Apple. Apple, if I'm correct, has operating systems, browsers, productivity tools, email and messaging, ebooks, smartphones and devices, video and music distribution, video conferencing, special purpose search engines, digital assistants, maps. Am I wrong? I actually don't know what the fuck this AAPO means. And then I think this is Google here. And Google has operating systems, browsers, productivity tools, email and messaging, ebooks, smartphones and devices, video and music distribution, streaming video, video conferencing, home delivery services, general purpose search engines, special purpose search engines, digital assistants, social networks, advertising platforms, maps, cloud services. Facebook has email and messaging, streaming video, video conferencing, digital assistants, social networks, and advertising platforms. Microsoft has operating systems, browsers, productivity tools, email and messaging, smartphones and devices, video conferencing, special purpose search engines, digital assistants, advertising platforms, maps, and cloud services. On this graph, they do not have special purpose search engine checked for Facebook, and I'm wondering if the search bar for social media platforms counts as a search engine, because I think in relation to search marketing, we often talk about it as one. I wonder if that counts as a, so I would count that as a special purpose search engine for social media profiles personally, but perhaps I'm wrong for thinking that. I don't know. Anyway, fucking I think it's important to note that Google and Microsoft here are the only two with general purpose search engines that are highlighted here. And when we look at the concept of Google as a general purpose search engine, if I'm correct, I believe that the court is also arguing Google is at 80% plus market share. So I think that's highly relevant, in my opinion. That's just me. So yeah, moving on. Is general search free? It's free, but now we're going to go into back to our roadmap, item number 2 here, general search mechanics. What data does Google collect on the search side? And now let's discuss general search. So, when you put in a search query, we have our user interaction side with queries, clicks, including duration, hovers, scrolls, and attention. And so this provides data such as language, location, in-session search history, and much more. How does general search work? Every year, there are trillions of searches on Google. In effect, Google is a mechanism for transferring knowledge from each user to those who follow. So, it works for, on one side we have web documents that get crawled and then indexed and ranked, which is also tied to the user query finding meaning in the pages and therefore getting them ranked in the search engine result page. So by that, if you click on a page and then you don't get the answer and you instantly click away, Google will count that as a bounce. And that will lower someone's ranking over time for those specific terms. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, and what's on the search engine results page ties back into search results. So looking at the aspect of crawling, basically the website doesn't your sites do not get crawled every single day because there's way too many sites out there. So basically, the Google will send bots that crawl sites, and they eventually will kind of hit your site like every 3 to 6 months or so, and then you slowly rank over time that way. But then, like if you make major changes to your website, there are ways you can submit your site to in Google for indexing with those changes. And then as you publish those, each individual new page, those will get crawled and processed upon those publications. If I'm making sense, you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, my experience is how that basically kind of works. Yeah. But then once it's been initially crawled and published, it won't get re-crawled for checking for updates until later. And then also, you can't just be submitting your site to Google to ask it to crawl it. It'll then start penalizing you if you're misusing that. You know, they'll get mad at you for that shit. Don't do that. You have to use it when you're actually like in good faith. Like, yeah, hey, shit's changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, big shit changed. So yeah, and that's how basically crawling connects to indexing as well, which is literally just what it means to get the concept of getting your site indexed in terms of categorized and filed digitally and recognized, you know what I'm saying? And then it can get ranked from there. So in relation to meaning, in relation to Google, how the concept of how does general search work? How? By looking for mistakes. We look at all the ways in which people misspell words and queries and text all over the web and use that to predict what you actually mean. So that's another way that they look for semantics and things, and they start to be able to get their algorithms to predict what people are looking for. In relation to meaning, they will look at spelling. They will also look at synonyms and location. Those are some examples here. But if you notice, sometimes there can be millions of results in less than a minute. So, in relation to ranking, this slide looks like it's redacted here. But you know what I am just noticing? I am relatively certain that some of these graphics are available in Canva. And now I believe this presentation was made in Canva. I don't know for certain. I'm just assuming. I'm just questioning. I'm just asking. I'm just thinking. It could be. Is it? Anyway, I love how when you use Canva so long, you're just like, that's the Canva present. Okay. And so then I asked again, how does general search work? And here we see a quote. We can regard each search as a massive multiple choice test. Each day, we get to ask humanity a billion questions of the forum. Which of these 10 documents is most relevant to your query? Then some person helpfully answers with a click, which teaches us something about the world. So in relation to the search results here, there's also other data involved in relation to the search engine result page, such as search logs, then they start logging the past searches, and that can then impact the crawling and the indexing and the interpretation of the meaning and the ranking as well. And also there regarding the question of how does general search work, so it says the key is that there is a second flow of information in the reverse direction. As people interact with the search results page, their actions teach us about the world. For example, a click here means the image was better than the web result. A long look there means the KP was interesting. We log these actions, and then scoring teams learn from them. I don't know what they mean by KP right here. Okay. So yeah, it says how search does work, and it says results lead to search engine result pages, which leads to human interaction, which leads to learning, and it's like a feedback loop. So yeah, relating to queries, your head queries or your shorter tail keywords really occur most frequently. Torso occur somewhat less frequently, and tail occur only rarely. But you can also think of this in relation to buyer intent. Uh, you're going to have less buyer intent more frequently, interest in buying, but not necessarily ready to buy somewhat less frequently, and ready to buy is pretty rare for the specific queries, but they're still important to rank for all of them in order to get found and to drive traffic to the consideration stage, in order to then get that final decision on that purchase. You know what I'm saying? And so then it asks here, what is scale? And so this next slide here is redacted. We'll keep going. So is this next one. Good for us. So, yeah. And then back to our roadmap, it looks into search distribution. Um, and so it asks us here, how do consumers access general search? And in relation to search distribution, it talks about accessing general search. And so this is highly important as it relates to those agreements that Apple and Android, for example, as well as other companies, that I'm not thinking of, are tied into, for example. So first we get the question, what is a search access point? Search access points. A search access point is a place on a computer or mobile device where a user can enter a query. So in relation to our search access points, the two most commonly found ones here, on a desktop, at the bottom corner of your browser, you will have a search access point, as well as in your browser, typically when you pull that up. And then on mobile, we have the same with our browser. We also typically have a separate app for it, as well as the search bar that are available to us. And then it asks, what is a default search engine? Default search engine. The search engine that a distributor programs a search access point to automatically send queries to out of the box. And this is important because, as we've discussed previously, a lot of times people don't even bother to change that shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, fucking. And then here, it discuss why are search defaults important, and it talks about the power of defaults. Default homepage can be a powerful strategic weapon in the search battle. Could be an easy way to grow and defend market share for Google. In relation to tyranny of the defaults, then we ask the question here, which general search engines are defaults? And so it looks at Apple search defaults, and it shows that on Mac OS, iOS, and iPad OS, the default search engine is Google. And in relation to Android search defaults, that would be Google. And in relation to Windows search defaults, that is Bing. So yeah, and it says, what is a user-selected default search engine? And user-selected default search engine. The search engine that a user sets a search access point to automatically send queries to. How sticky are search defaults? Meaning, how likely is it that people will or will not change the default? You know what I'm saying? Um, and so yeah. And then it shows some visual slides here, which I don't really know the context of, so I'm gonna just kind of skip through it because it doesn't really give me an explanation here. And I will notice under the power of defaults concept, and it has a quote from Apple Maps, on Apple Maps from Tim Cook, saying he is extremely sorry. And it says under this headline that the chief executive issues rare apology for problems with Maps data, saying users can use rivals products if they are dissatisfied. And then this next slide is redacted. Then we are back to our roadmap here, and this is on item number 4, Google's search distribution contracts. Ooh. So, how is Google the exclusive default search engine on Apple? And so it relates to the timeline of events here. So in 2003, Google was at 30% market share. In 2005, Google begins to pay for search default on Apple. Yep, that's how. And in 2007, we have the Apple iPhone launch. And in 2008, that Go enters. So yeah, they got paid. And then we have another slide here with Apple, and it says question. And why are GSA, and I think this is like Google Service Application or some shit like that. I don't remember. But it says, and why are GSA and Chrome not pre-installed on Apple mobile devices? Answer. We don't install any third-party apps. Never have on iOS. Question. Since 2007, Apple has never pre-installed or preloaded any third-party applications on an iPhone. Correct? Answer. That's correct. Question. What type of value would Apple require if it decided that it was going to preload third-party applications on iPhones? Answer. There is none. We would never do it. Okay. So it's not pre-installed. It's just the default search engine on Safari, I believe. But yeah, okay. And then our next slide has the question here. How is Google the exclusive default search engine on Android? And then it gives us a timeline of events. So back to 2003, Google was at about 30% market share, I believe. 2005, we see Google begins to pay for a search default on Apple, and Google acquires Android OS the same year. And then in 2007, when the Apple iPhone launched, we have Google launches AOSP, whatever that means. And then in 2008, that Go enters, and the first Android phone was sold in the United States. Then in 2009, we got the Microsoft Yahoo syndication deal, and by then, Google was 80% plus market share. So between 2003 and 2009, I believe Google went from about 30% market share to more than 80% market share. And this happened in 5 years. That is wild. Her next slide here is redacted. And then it ties onto the Android distribution contracts again. It notes the MADA, the RSA, the AFA, and the ACC. So then we're back on relating to Android distribution contracts. We have Google's Android distribution partners here. So our original equipment manufacturers, also known as OEMs, are Samsung and Motorola. And then mobile network operators, also known as MNOs, are AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. In relation to the Android distribution contracts, okay, yeah. So AFA and ACC, Anti-Fragmentation Agreement and Android Compatibility Commitment. So these are the two agreements that locked Android into basically being Google's bitch, because Android can't do anything that Google sees as anti-fragmentation, and they left that definition vague, so that way they can basically hold that over their head like it's fucking treason, in my opinion. And then the Android compatibility commitment is part of the shit where they basically made it so that way Android had to agree that they would stay compatible to Google shit. You know what I'm saying? And, basically grabbing them by the balls. You know what I mean? My opinion. Okie dokie. So, fucking Android distribution contracts. Here they ask the question, what do they provide? OEMs only make or sell compatible Android devices. Google must approve the devices, and it prohibits fragmentation of Android. So yeah. Okay, GMS does stand for Google Mobile Services, and this includes Google proprietary apps such as Google Search App, Chrome, Google Play, Google Maps, YouTube, and Gmail, as well as Google proprietary APIs, which stands for Application Programming Interface. Yeah. Then moving into Android. Oh, and you know what? An API, it's basically like the user side of making data entry easier. You know how like when you wanted to make a MySpace profile, you don't actually go code a MySpace page. Actually, you kind of do. Okay, if you want to make a Facebook post, you don't actually go code a Facebook. Well, you kind of can on MySpace. We could if you wanted to. If you want to make a MySpace post, you don't actually go code a MySpace post. You just type the post you want to make, upload the photo, bada bing, bada boom, using a platform that enables you to enter in data, and you don't actually have to do the coding. That's what an API basically is, in a very poor, rough nutshell, very bad explanation. Like an API is just um, a platform that makes it easier for you to put data somewhere, so you don't actually have to do the coding on some shit. Someone else did that coding for you. Okay? Okay. And so that's why it's so important, too, here. Now, moving on to Android, Google Play Store here, it's Google's proprietary app store, the largest Android app collection with their proprietary APIs. And so, yeah. Then we have our Google Search app and the Google Search widget. And so these are all things that Android has to have. So, yeah, and it's kind of like if the app was a customer and the server was a chef, your API would be your waiter. Hi, RWM Cinema. Thanks so much for joining me today. We've got RPM Cinema joining us. Yes, you are our first like. I appreciate you. So yeah, moving on, we've got our, related to our Android distribution contracts, we have our AFA, ACC, and MADA, which is our Mobile Application Distribution Agreement. And as we've been discussing, these are the contracts that have been basically locking Google into place so that they are grabbed by the balls. Related to the Android distribution contracts, so the MADA, what does it provide? It gives them a Google Mobile Services license, but if the OEM pre-installs any Google app, including the Google Play Store app, I believe, the OEM must pre-install a suite of Google apps, give apps prominent placement. For example, Google Search widget on the home screen, as well as make 6 core apps undeletable. So yeah, this is the contract that Android's locked in here. So, and then involved in this is also a revenue share agreement. So that's what they get. So the revenue share agreement, what does it provide? For a share of search ad revenue, the mobile network operator, which is our phone networks, like Verizon or whatever, and the operating equipment manufacturer, which is like the people who make the fucking phone, they must, my bad, make Google exclusive search default, as well as install search-related Google apps with prominent placement and exclude alternative search services. So yeah, this next part here relating to the RSA payments is redacted. And so yeah, and then in relation to the defaults, Sundar Pichai, I don't know if I'm saying that right, the Google CEO, the question was asked to him, and Google pays rev share on a specific device type if it gets exclusivity on default out of the box, right? And the answer is, that's my understanding, yes. And then it says, is Google the exclusive default search on other browsers? So our other browsers here, we've got Samsung Internet, Mozilla Firefox, Puffin, Opera, and UC Browser. So back to our timeline of events here. So remember, in 2007, the Apple iPhone launch was happening and Google launched AOSP. Well, in 2008, DuckDuckGo enters, first Android phone sold in the US, and Chrome launches on PC, guys. Chrome launches on PC here. Then 2009, we're in the Microsoft Yahoo syndication deal, and the Google is at 80% plus market share. 2010, Ask.com exits independent, Yahoo exits independent. Now bear in mind, 2012 here, Chrome launches on mobile. Then in 2013, Alta Vista exits. Okie dokie, timeline. So yeah, so our general search here is reliant, in my opinion, on our distribution contracts as well as the search mechanics. You can see how that all ties together. It's the circle of life. Okay, I'm sorry. And then back to our roadmap. Search advertising industry overview. What is advertising? Advertising channels. This is totally from fucking Canva. Anyway, advertising channels. I don't really know the context of this shit, so I'm going to skip this slide. It says, what advertising markets do the U.S. plaintiffs allege? Search ads. Markets alleged. General search text ads, also known as text ads. And they're differentiating here because Google has different technical ways you can put ads out there, you know what I'm saying? So they're being if they're sound redundant, it's because they're being very specific for the types of ads that Google offers and does, and the ways that they're involved with search in order to check all their boxes to show how each aspect ties into the monopolization allegations, in my opinion, is what I believe they're doing here. So, markets alleged are general search text ads. Ads consisting primarily of text and appearing on a general search engine's results page in response to a real-time query. Then it shows us examples here. Then back to markets alleged, we have search ads. Any ads appearing on any search engine's results page in response to consumers' real-time query, including text ads. So I believe the reason they're differentiating here is because there's two main ways that people at this time commonly utilize Google Ads setup to either only advertise just based on text, or there's also an option where you can go for visuals and basically more of a smart advertising way where you can do either the visualization as well as the in-place shopping accessibilities and things like that, whatever the fucking words are. Because that shit changes over time. It gets annoying trying to keep up with what's the right word right now. Who gives a shit? You know what the fuck I mean. Anyway, but, I mean, it does matter when you're actually going to set it up because that can matter and really impact the setup greatly. But when you're just theorizing, it doesn't fucking matter, okay? But, yeah. So, general, so just search ads broadly, not specifically on text ads, can show up in text as well, and they can include the text ads. But they also specify these other types of ads available through search that Google does. And then the text ads itself are specifically related to the text only. And this is important because this monopolization as well is an entirely different case than this other monopoly case where Google is being alleged of monopolizing on their ad technology side, and they're connected because of how the monopolization of both sides enable the upholding of each other, and because of the technology involved in both sides is connected. But at the same time, it's completely different cases because this is related specifically to how Google is able to be a monopoly as a search engine, while the other one is specifically related to how Google is able to be a monopoly related to ad technology. So yeah, so Fucking, um, here it shows the difference between text ads and shopping ads. And then it asks the question, what channels do advertisers use and why? And so we go into the consumer purchase funnel, and it shows how the consumer purchase funnel, the goal here is to drive awareness to interest to desire into action, and how the consumer purchase funnel does so through ad recall, brand awareness, brand interest, consideration, favorability, intent, and purchase. So regarding the consumer purchase funnel, we have our consumer activity. We're watching, for example, you could be watching commercials for Nike shoes on the YouTube app. That's going to be putting you in the awareness stage. Then when you go into reading reviews for the top running shoes while at the bus stop and searching for the nearest store, that's going to put you between the consideration and intent stage. And then when you're searching for black Nike Air Max while at the mall, that's some pretty high intent right there. And then when you're purchasing black Nike Air Max shoes in store, you're at the purchase stage. You see what I'm saying here? How search drives the purchase funnel. So this takes you from awareness to evaluation to a purchase. And purchase, and then trigger, an awareness and a trigger also can take you to a purchase. And then a purchase and a loyalty person who feels a loyal association to their engagement with that purchase then triggers that loyalty loop. So you get this feedback loop here. So in relation to our advertiser objectives, typically we want to bring someone from awareness to interest to desire to buying. So advertiser objectives as an example here. First, we want to go into an increased awareness of the brand. Next, we want to move into an increased engagement with the brand product. Then we want to address increased favorability of a brand and product. And after that, we want to get into the increased purchases of the product. So, increasing awareness of the brand can be done through display ads, for example. And so with this objective, we are trying to increase the awareness of the brand. And then we can increase the engagement with our brand and our product through social ads here. So this increases engagement with our brand and product. And this is typically done through something such as Facebook or Instagram. It can also be through like TikTok, and who knows what platforms will evolve in the future, you know? Then related to our increased favorability of our brand and product, this goes into retargeting ads. This can be done through things from email marketing to Facebook to anywhere. Like my favorite way is retargeting people based on the specific actions they've done with me. You can often do this based on URLs and targeting people who have engaged with specific pages in order to drive them through a funnel. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, and then I'm going to try and remember and link my past work and thoughts on all of this as well. If I run out of room in the description, it'll end up in the comments of the video. Okay, so this addresses our third objective, increasing favorability of the brand and product. And so the next we'll be moving on into our fourth objective, increasing purchases of the product, and this can be done through search ads. So what are search ads? Search ads are those served in response to a customer's real-time query on a general or specialized search engine. So yeah. So search ads. So this, brings us back to our example. For our advertiser objectives, we are trying to increase awareness of the brand, increase engagement with brand and product, increase favorability of brand and product, increase purchases of product, and this can be done through display ads, social ads, retargeted ads, and search ads, for examples. So search ads, they can be primarily regarded as either text ads or other types of search ads. So in relation to text ads, what are those? These are the advertisements that are only text. They typically, so right here where they sometimes they might show like images from the website, because Google would now with the metadata start ranking images sometimes, but typically they don't have any images. They're just like any other typical search result, but it just says ad in terms of just showing the text, like the page title and maybe an excerpt or a summary of the page in the result and the link. How are text ads sold? So text ads are sold on Google Keywords. Google Keywords. I'm looking at a Google Keyword visual on the side. On Google Ads. My bad. And obviously, text ads are sold on Google Ads. I can't think or speak. So yeah, text ads. So we have keyword match types. Now, there has been debate in the marketing industry about if keyword match types are still relevant. And again, I think they still highly are. You just change, but how they're used has changed. And I'll have to go into that in a different live stream. But I'm still annoyed because I got gaslit by a chief marketing officer on the concept of, dude, broad phrase and exact matches matter in ads, and she was saying they don't work at all. It would be one thing to me, like, I wouldn't give a fuck if she just disagreed on how they were used, because every fucking person has their own opinion about this shit, and we should, and I'm glad we do, right? But when you tell me that they don't work at all, and that's like, I know how this functions, it's like, are you kidding me? That's like telling me my light switch doesn't work. Like, what? Like, I mean, maybe my light bulb is burned out, but you know what I mean? Like, for example, like, that's just how it felt to me to be, you know what I mean? Like, the thing, that's what it's a tool, like, what? It's like telling me a light switch doesn't turn a light on. What? You know what I mean? That's how I felt. Anyway, but here we have the United States government acknowledging that this shit still matters, in my opinion. Well, they acknowledged it back in 2022. I think it's still fucking relevant. Even though it was 2 years ago, it still matters. It has changed, but everything we do is based on the past, and it's not irrelevant or obsolete yet. I'm gonna do that on a whole different live stream. I'm gonna keep going all day on this stuff. Okay, so keyword match types. For the keyword lawn mowing services, we can match the following queries. It's giving us an example here per match type. And so it shows broad match type. Ads may show on searches that relate to your keyword, and it gives us an example of lawn aeration prices. If you're going for the keyword mowing service, you might show up for that keyword, lawn aeration prices. So the notation for the inputting of the keyword could just be the keyword in general when you're running the ad. And this has very loose matching, so any kind of search related to a lawn mowing service, you'll show up for. Related to phrase match, ads may show on searches that include the meaning of your keyword. So, lawn mowing service near me, hire company to mow lawn, landscaping service to cut grass. That's the notation for inputting. This is with quotation marks, in between quotation marks where you put your keyword, and that will typically have moderate matching between, your actual keyword, right? For the keyword being like lawn mowing service, right? And then with exact matching, we have ads may show on searches that are the same meaning as your keyword. So it has to be like an exact semantic phrase, like match. You know what I'm saying? So for lawn mowing service, that could be lawn mowing service or grass cutting service. And this is very tight matching. You know what I'm saying? There we go. And actually, you know what? I don't even have to do another live stream. I mean, I could. I still might, to explain my point about how it's changed over time. Because this is actually, I can explain it from here right now. So, previously, broad phrase and exact match, the way it would work was when you did a phrase match, when you used phrases, it would put in, like if I were to use the phrase lawn mowing service, previously we were taught that when you use lawn mowing service as a phrase match in that way, that meant someone would have to Google lawn mowing service near me, lawn mowing service New Orleans, and you would show up that way, and you would only show up if the keyword that you were trying to show up for was used in that phrase. That's how it was previously taught, and that exact match must mean that exact wording exactly. That's how it was previously explained and taught in terms of how it works. And you might actually still find documentation related to that. But this shows actually how this explained where it transitioned to. This is actually where it transitioned to. This is how it works now. And so a lot of people think, oh, it doesn't work the same way it used to, so now it just doesn't work at all. But that's not true. They've just changed the way they interpret the data, but it still very much matters and is useful in your advertising when you understand the way it works. I'm just saying. Okie dokie. Moving on. In relation to text ads, this is they are shown to users based on real-time auctions and real-time bidding. So every time you see an ad, each company is bidding in an auction to be seen by you. You know what I'm saying? So, who shows text ads in the United States? So, text ads are shown by both independent general search services and syndicated general search services. So for independent, we have Google Search, Microsoft Bing, and Brave, and syndicated, we've got DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Ask.com, and you. What is Google's market share of text ads in the United States? So our text ads market share here is redacted. Now, as it relates to search ads, we are now going to be moving on to other types of search ads. So, what are the other types of search ads? So, in relation to search ads, we have text ads, as well as that get shown with organic results, but we also have shopping ads too. And then in search ads, I meant to say search ads. In search ads, we also have a maps search engine result page with other search ads that can be shown here. There's also a travel search engine results page with other ads relevant there. And then the booking.com search engine result page, other search ads get shown there, for example, as well as like on Amazon search engine result page, they also have ads there. So these are other examples of search ads here on different platforms. And they also have their own version of shopping ads, and they call them sponsored products. And same with Play Store search engine result page. So yeah, how are other types of search ads sold? And that is through real-time auctions and real-time bidding as well. So, search ads, about shopping campaigns and shopping ads. To get started, you'll send us your product data with Merchant Center and create a campaign in Google Ads. Then, we'll use your campaign to create ads on Google and around the web where potential customers can see what you're selling. This is from the Google Ads help page. People, thing, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Service. Shit. Close enough. Okie dokie. Then, who shows other types of search ads in the United States? So, search ads are shown by Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, I don't know what the fuck this logo is, Expedia, Yelp, and Amazon Advertising. What is that? Okay, whatever. And then it says, what is Google's market share of search ads in the United States? So, search ads, this includes search advertising regarding text ads and other types of search ads. So here with the market share, they have that redacted, unfortunately for me. And so then it says, why is data important to the search ads business? And this is because of scale. And in our previous legal documentation, we've covered how scale is so important, not only for growth as a business in terms of scaling to reach audiences, but also in terms of scaling the amount of your ability and the amount of websites you're able to rank. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And this next slide is redacted here. And then it takes us back to our roadmap here. And our roadmap, I believe we've gone along 5 sections here as it relates to our general search industry overview, general search mechanics, search distribution, Google's search distribution contracts, and the search advertising industry overview. So yeah, and then it shows us our search timeline again here. And so just a reminder, and let's just go over that one more time. In 1989, we have our World Wide Web. In 1990, we get the first browser. In 1993, Excite enters. 1994, Yahoo enters. So does Lycos. 1995, AltaVista enters. 1997, Ask Jeeves, also known as Ask.com, enters. 1998, Google enters, Microsoft enters. 2001, Excite exits independent. Lycos exits independent. 2003, Google is, I think this is about 30% market share. 2005, Google begins to pay for search default on Apple. Google acquires Android operating system. And in 2007, Apple iPhone launch. Google launches AOSP. In 2008, DuckDuckGo enters. First Android phone sold in the United States. Chrome launches on PC. In 2009, Microsoft Yahoo syndication deal. Google is at about 80% market share. 2010, Ask.com exits independent. Yahoo exits independent. In 2012, Chrome launches on mobile. In 2013, AltaVista exits. And in 2021, Neva enters, Brave enters, and You enters. So yeah, fucking next up, I'm about to just, give a little recap on this presentation on what we discussed so far. And before I do that, I just want to remind you guys that if you're near Houston, Texas, near Pasadena, Texas, and you're interested in a tattoo, check out Ink by Cast Tattoo, also known as the V-Hole. So this concludes our plaintiff presentation coverage. I just wanted to recap real quick first what we've covered in this presentation. So we went over our roadmap with the general search industry overview. We've discussed kind of basically the background of the other networks involved in terms of the timeline of the history of the evolution of the development of these technologies, who are the independent as well as syndicated networks in the field. We went over that. Then we went over general search mechanics. We've talked about the difference between text ads as well as between other types of ads. We've also talked about the way that search engines are used by people, how people use search engines across different devices, where different search entry market points are. We looked into the search distribution in terms of how people are able, of course, like I was saying, to access search points and which companies these are distributed through. We went into the Google search distribution contracts, where we explained just how Google was able to grab these people by the balls and why the deals were kind of fucked up, in my opinion. We looked over the search advertising industry overview, where I had a nice little ramble about the concept of keyword matching in advertising. And we also discussed just how do search ads work in terms of the bidding and the auction process, and connecting the process between advertisers inputting the data and users seeing the ad. So in a nutshell, that's a rough summary. We've kind of covered all of that today. So yeah, fucking next up, what we're about to do, I am going to do a little break. I don't know if I'm going to take the full break buffer Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'll be gone 20 minutes tops, if that. I'm gonna do a quick break, and then I am going to get into as much of the trial exhibits as I can. I don't know how much time I have, so I'm gonna try not to spend longer than another hour on that. Yeah, so, okay, alrighty. I'm gonna roll my break, and then we will be right back, and we'll keep going with the trial exhibits. I almost smiled again. God, I don't know why. It's like a thing. I don't do it on purpose. I don't sit there like, let me smile now before it, but then I have the urge, and I'm like, no, wait, why? Huh. Okay. Hmm. Alrighty then. captioning? Yes, I did. Okay, cool. All right, welcome back. Fucking, oh, yeah, I brought that down. My bad. Fucking, I'm not thinking about it. Fucking, so today we are going to be talking about, well, we've been talking about the plaintiff presentation, been going over all of that, and now we will be moving into the trial exhibits. And the trial exhibits do come from the original case documentation. We go to U.S. and Plaintiff States versus Google LLC regarding the 2020 case. Um, on this page, what we've already been going through, basically as much of that I can. We've been going through the discovery and case management documents, pre-trial submissions, trial materials, and appellate briefs. We've already went through all of that. What we're waiting for now to go through is the remedies. That's what we haven't covered yet. And we just covered today the plaintiff's presentation in the discovery and case management documentation up in here. So yeah, we just did that. Fucking but what's related that we have not covered is trial exhibits. So now we will be moving on to our trial exhibits. And there are a lot of the trial exhibits from here. They go down from 2023. They go from October 26, 2023 through well, it looks like they're not dated in consecutive order, but it does look like these are all filed within the year of 2023, around October and November, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I'm just gonna start at, I don't know, should I take it from the top or the bottom? Fuck it, I'm gonna take it from the bottom and then go to the top is what I think I'll do. Fuck it. Um, and so, yeah. Um, I feel the need to add that this information in terms of, so it, some of it is more related, it's like it's just all of the trial exhibits put together, you know what I'm saying? So some of it is going to be related to more of the search side and the marketing side. Some of it's going to be related to more of like internal company things happening, and some of it will be relating to you know, more of the legal side and things like that. And so there's like, it's a mixed bag of tricks in here. I don't really know what all we're going to be looking at, and for the most part, until we look at it. You know, because it goes from like the, well, so the, from different search engines to different people's perspectives to the concept of market definition and monopoly power. So we'll be going through like all of it, I think. So yeah, fucking, it's a lot. But we're gonna take it from the bottom and then we'll work our way to the top. And I don't really know why I'm doing it this way, I guess. Um, I guess because I feel like what's at the bottom is most likely to get kind of buried in my head. And so for me, it's just like, let's take it to where people are least likely to make it and start there. I don't know why, I guess that's why I'm like that. But then it's also like partly too in my head, it's like sometimes, typically, this isn't filed in consecutive order, but like a lot of times, I feel like they would file their shit. You know what? But now I'm realizing there's numbers on here and the numbers go up. Huh. You know why? Okay, I lied. I'm sorry. I had said I was going to take it from the bottom and then go to the top. But now I'm looking at the numbers. I'm just going to go in order of these numbers. You see the numbers are ascending here. And so, fuck it. I guess I'll go in the number of these orders in case that tells a story. Because, actually, no, now it's kind of out of order. I thought it was in, or is it? No, it isn't. But I don't understand the order, but I feel like there is kind of one here. Okay, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. We're just gonna go in order. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm like this. I'm spending way too long here. Let's actually do this thing. I'm gonna spend longer deciding what to cover and in what order to cover than I am when I actually be covering this shit. So, my bad. My bad. I'm sorry. Here we are. So, we're going to start off with the exhibit number DX0099. Our exhibit title is Slide Deck titled SRP Latency Update, and it was posted November 2nd, 2023. And so here, regarding our latency update, it is redacted, but we have an agenda here relating to Google versus Bing findings, measuring the Bing gap going forward, and projects underway that may help close the gap, as well as additional investigations. And then it provides a recap here. Let's see how I can make this bigger. You know what? This works. This works a little bit. So then it provides, but you know what? Okay, so in general for a document that works, but then for here, let's get you. Yeah, work stream. Okay, so it's got like a screenshot of a spreadsheet, and I don't know what the fuck folly stands for, to be honest, but it's got like a list of project names which are redacted, and then it talks about the head impact, the tail impact, and the confidence relating to that, as well as staffing. And where it says expanded impacts, it talks about multiple image inlining improvements, as well as results of experiments, and proof of concept regarding high impact but low confidence. They talk about gradual fixing of well-known queries, meaning gradual fixing of well-known queries. I wonder what they mean by that semantic-wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they referring to just the way that rankings get fixed through the indexing, or are they talking about fixing it? I don't know. And fixing it could go in two ways, like making it better or setting it up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just overthinking the word for word now. But anyway, I don't know what the fuck they mean by this shit because I didn't write it. I'm just speculating. Then it says gradual dialogue with slow back-end teams, possible improvement. Okay, so that's what the exhibit says here. And the commentary says there is a lot of latency reduction work happening. We're focusing on one part of it today. And then we move into a concept here. It says Bing is faster. Why? And it talks about 1, Google results arrive later. 2, Google has significant logged in penalty. 3, Bing serves similar content with fewer bytes. 4, Bing uses different image loading techniques. Bing loads more images externally, so the page looks complete sooner and does not fade them in like Google does. Okay. So in regards to how Google results arrive later, you get your first bite about the same time, but the first results arrive about 300 milliseconds later for Google, than from Bing. So on both search engines, the first byte returns at roughly the same time, meaning you begin loading into it around the same time, but you don't actually get to interact with it for a little bit later on Google. However, server time spent before first result is rendered in 300 milliseconds about for Google. It's worth noting that GWS time has increased particularly since Q3. Since results are in the body chunk and that depends on DWS, this probably contributes to the gap. So yeah, so this was our first evidence here, and that is regarding the latency update. So this brings back to the question earlier in the presentation when they were addressing the concept of latency. I didn't know if they were talking about latent semantic indexing or if they were talking about core web vitals as it relates to latent contentful paint is what I believe that's what that stands for. Let me Google that now. Maybe I should have done that earlier. LCP core web vitals. Am I right? Oh, it is largest. What did I say? Latent. Okay, where is the latent? There is also a latent in here. I'm getting largest contentful paint confused with, what is it? It is, oh, come on, tell me the goddamn names of these bitches. Oh, now you don't want to tell me the name. See, these people don't know the name either. Okay. Largest contentful paint. Oh, they changed it to interaction to next paint. And cumulative layout shifts. Oh, they changed it. changed it. Okay. IMP used to be what? It used to be first input delay. Okay. Okay. So I'm getting all that shit confused. Okay. Formerly known as first input delay. I will write some clarifications on this in the description of this. I was saying that off the top of my head. But you know what? I also did say, I don't remember what the fuck that shit is though. Like, no, fuck it. Anyway. Keep going. We're gonna keep going here. Fucking back to our trial exhibits. Now we're gonna move on to JX0024. And this is in regards to the Apple Joint Cooperation Agreement. So yeah, the latency update that we covered before was from May 2017. This is from May 2014, posted November 2023. So here we have a joint cooperation agreement. And this is the execution copy. It says this, and it's also known as the JCA, Joint Cooperation Agreement. It says this JCA between Apple and Google includes 3 parts. 1. A commercial agreement relating to search that amends the Information Services Agreement. That's what the ISA stands for. Revenue Share Agreement, and ISA is Information Services Agreement between the parties dated December 20th, 2002, as amended. A litigation dismissal, an executive escalation mechanism, and a collaboration framework regarding patent policy and reform. And in regards to the term and termination, this is redacted. And then it says commercial deal. Apple and Google wish to extend the ISA beyond the present termination date of July 31st, 2015 to be coterminous with this JCA. Search revenue share. Revenue share will become redacted effective July 31st, 2015. Subject to the options in point 3 below, Google shall remain the default search engine in all geographical locations, is what I'm assuming they mean. It just says geos. So yeah, Apple will have the option to select a different default search engine in China and South Korea on or after July 31st, 2014, and in Russia on or after July 31st, 2016. So these are the options that they meant that are excluded. But besides that, Google is the default search engine for Apple, according to this agreement. Then moving on, it says Google will consider, in good faith, additional single country exclusions in countries where Google's usage share compared with other general search engines only declines to redacted or less for redacted consecutive years. This next part here is redacted, so we will skip that, and that's in relation to the litigation notice and escalation, as well as the miscellaneous section here, and that is signed. Okie dokie. And then we have item number JX0033 from Apple related to the amendment to the Information Services, posted November 17, 2023. Oh, this is long. Okay, a lot of it's redacted. Let's go. Fuck it. It says amendment to the Information Services Agreement. This amendment to the Information Services Agreement, this agreement, is entered into effective as of September 30th, 2016, execution date, by and among Apple Inc., Apple Distribution International, and Apple South Asia, the fuck is, I forget what this should be, something limited, and collectively with Apple Inc., ADI, and their respective subsidiaries. Apple on the one hand, and Google Inc., Google Ireland Limited, and Google Asia Pacific. The fuck is the PTE stand for? Why am I forgetting this? Why do I think it stands for something like private? That doesn't sound right. Okay. GAP, and collectively with Google Inc., okay, and GIL and their respective subsidiaries, Google, on the other hand, amending that certain information services agreement dated December 20th, 2002, between Apple Inc. and Google Inc., as amended or otherwise modified prior to the execution date, and as amended by disagreement, the ISA agreement, the provisions of this agreement are effective as of this execution date, and the remaining provisions of the ISA agreement remain unchanged and in full force and effect. I guess they're being like real specific with all of these technical company names, so that way things can't be done under the umbrella of another company concept or application to another company. You know what I mean? And they can be like, oh, you know what we meant, apply to all of it, kind of thing. I don't know. I guess that's what I'm getting from it. But yeah. And then it goes into item number 1 here, use and implementation of Google services in Apple's software. Addressing A, Safari, web browser software. Apple will preset and use the services as the default search service for search queries in Apple's web browser software. For example, Safari or successor versions designed for use on one or more of the following Apple operating systems: iOS, watchOS, tvOS, macOS, or any other operating system software made generally available by Apple during the term, or the Microsoft Windows operating system. Such web browser software, the web browser software, is what it's, I don't know, I'm just reading this shit, but I guess that's what they're going to be referring to when they say the web browser software up in here. The way it's worded is like hard for me to feel like I'm really reading in a good way, but like whatever, E for effort, gold star, okay. During the term, Apple's use of the services as default in the web browser software will remain substantially similar to its use, including, without limitation. I honestly don't know how to pronounce this. Is it vis-a-vis? Vis-a-vis? No, that's not right. Vis-a-vis, huh? How the fuck do you say? Oh, god damn it. Whoops. I should look at one day. Okay, how the fuck do you say this? Nope, that's not helping me. I don't know how to say this word. I'm not gonna lie. Without limitation, other providers of internet services. Maybe I'm gonna just say via. I don't know. As of the execution date of this agreement, such use the permissible software default use. Okay. Subject to the permissible software default use, Apple shall not be limited in its ability to alter, modify, and innovate its web browser software, and Google shall not be limited in its ability to control branding, presentation, and use of the services. That sounds broad. Default means the services will automatically be used for responding to search queries initiated from the web browser software, unless the end user selects a different third-party search service. Search query means any textual, voice, image, or other input entered by an end user in the web browser software, or Siri, or Spotlight, or successor versions that request information. Provided, however, that subject to the permissible software default use, Apple may determine an end user's input is not a search query, so long as Apple's determination is based exclusively on its intent to provide a superior user experience. Services means Google's search services made generally available at google.com and the applicable internal equivalents thereof, or successor versions that handle search queries initiated from the web browser software in accordance with the ISA agreement. End user means a user of the web browser software, Spotlight, or Siri. And then it goes into Spotlight, but this is all redacted. It goes into Siri, but that's all redacted. And it says, subject to the permissible software default use, Apple will not use Siri in response to search queries from the web browser software unless Apple's use is based exclusively on its intent to provide a superior user experience. And then it's redacted. goes into provision of query set, but that's redacted, as well as reporting, which is redacted. And then it goes into advertising and monetization. Following the initial implementation of the Spotlight services or Siri services, if Apple includes ads or paid listings in Siri or Spotlight or successor versions, Apple will offer Google the opportunity to supply such ads or paid listings under the financial terms set forth in Section 4 of this agreement and on equivalent implementation terms. And then it's redacted here. And then going into the ad revenue share, it says effective September 1st, 2016, Google will pay Apple a redacted it's redacted here, of its net ad revenue for the remainder of the term. And then a lot of redacted stuff. And then item number 5, CEO check-ins. It says agreement purpose. Both parties agree they are entering into this agreement for the following purposes. Collectively, the agreement purpose. 1. To create tangible and intangible value for each party. 2. To increase the revenue performances of each party. And 3. To improve their search experience and performance of the services, the Spotlight services, and the Siri services for end users on Apple products. Then it goes into annual CEO check-in. At the end of each contract year, or earlier if reasonably requested by a party, chief executive officers from each party will meet to review and discuss in good faith the performance of the ISA agreement. Vis-a-vis, I don't know if I can say that. In relation to the agreement purpose, and upon request, to confirm each party's compliance with the terms of the ISA agreement, or the annual CEO check-in. The parties mutually agree to address and resolve in good faith any issues identified during the annual CEO check-in that are interfering or have interfered with the agreement purpose. If a particular issue is under the reasonable control of Apple, then Apple will have primary responsibility for addressing and resolving such issues in good faith, with input from Google. If a particular issue is under the reasonable control of Google, then Google will have primary responsibility for addressing and resolving in good faith such issue, with input from Apple. The parties will have joint responsibility for addressing and resolving in good faith any other issues identified during the annual CEO check-ins that are not under the reasonable control of one party. It goes into redacted here. And then item number 6 is limitation of liability. We have this redacted, as well as term and termination, which is redacted. And then we go into branding, presentation, and usage. This is also redacted. And then back into item number 9, regulatory and government actions. Apple and Google will cooperate to support and defend the ISA agreement, work in good faith to modify it if necessary to resolve regulatory concerns, and not intentionally delay or prevent implementation of the ISA agreement. And then it's redacted here. Item number 10, audit, redacted here. And then 11, this is assignment, redacted. Parties and affiliates is next, that's redacted. Then it goes into the amendment, that's redacted. Here we have tax. This is also redacted. And then and it says this agreement may be executed in counterparts, including fax or mail counterparts. And then it goes into the signatures and shit like that. Okie dokie. Next up, let's keep going. We've got, what did I look at? I think that was the amendment, right? Yeah, that was the amendment. Next up, we're going to look at item number JX0071. This is Samsung Google Mobile Revenue Share Agreement. And this is from July 1st, 2020. And it was, I believe, made available November 27th, 2023. Okie dokie. So the Google Mobile Revenue Share Agreement seems to be relatively redacted here. So it is let's see. It has their details. So it's between the strategic partnership group of Samsung and the legal support and compliance group there. And Google is what this deal is between here. And it says this Google Mobile Revenue Share Agreement, including all attachments, collectively referred to as this agreement, effective as of the date noted above, the effective date, is made between Google LLC, organized in the state of Delaware, Google Asia Pacific, something Ltd, whatever, organized in Singapore, and Google Ireland Limited, organized in Ireland. In this agreement, Google will mean all of those bitches as the context requires on the one hand, and Samsung Electronics Company Limited, a company existing under the laws of the Republic of Korea, company on the other hand. And then this other part is redacted, lots of redacted shit here. And then it says, client IDs means the range of unique alphanumeric codes that Google provides to company pursuant to this agreement or the prior agreements that are used to identify ad revenue on devices or installed base devices, including ad revenue from particular access points on devices or installed base devices, such as Chrome browser, Bixby, etc. More redacted shit, and it says here, -1 screen means the screen accessed by the end user by swiping their finger once from left to right on the default home screen, excluding the lock screen and notification tray. More redacted shit here. And then it says query means any end user query input through a service access point. More redacted shit here. And then it says company and Google obligations. And it outlines here MADA, EMADA, and TMADA. And it says during the term, company must have an effective MADA, EMADA, and TMADA, and be a licensee in good standing under the MADA, EMADA, and TMADA. Provided, however, that any termination of this agreement for the reason of non-compliance with the foregoing shall be made pursuant to Section 4.2, what the fuck did I just say? 14.2, or Section 14.3, and further, that in case of any non-compliance with respect to TMADA, such termination shall be effectuated for devices distributed in Turkey only. Okie dokie. Now more redacted shit here. And it looks like this bitch is signed here. Some redacted shit here. And here we have attachment A related to the revenue share. And it says, subject to the terms and conditions of this agreement, Google will pay company revenue share during the term as follows. And it addresses A, core qualified devices. Google will pay company the following percentage of qualified net ad revenue with respect to the following core qualified device categories and service access points, collectively shared net core ad revenue. And that percentage of the qualified net ad revenue is redacted here, but in relation to the core qualified device category, it is by core qualified devices sold or distributed in territories other than Turkey, and there it has service access points as it relates to search access points under the attachments B1 and assistant access points. And then it has basically the same thing for the devices sold or distributed in Turkey, as well as the service access points related to that. And then it's redacted, and then it says, enhanced qualified devices. In addition to the shared net core ad revenue, for those core qualified devices that are configured to meet the additional requirements for enhanced qualified devices, Google will pay company the following percentage of qualified net ad revenue with respect to the following enhanced qualified device categories and service access points. And this is also fucking redacted, so yeah. Then it has another attachment here, and it says search access points for valid queries on search enhanced qualified devices. But parts of this are redacted, but it brings up search access points as it relates to the Google provided widget and the Google search application, as well as all search intents on the enhanced qualified device. And then in relation to minimum usage and placement requirements, it talks about how it's set pursuant to the MADA and set to the Google search application. So yeah. And then our last attachment here, it says search access points for valid queries and configuration requirements on Chrome enhanced qualified devices. Subject to Section 9, permitted activities, each of the below listed search access points must meet the minimum usage and placement requirements. And it talks about the search access point for Chrome browser, and it says minimum usage and placement requirements. Set as the default system browser intent, and no disambiguation screen is ever presented to the end user out of the box. Chrome browser icon is placed on the application dock, and other requirements pursuant to MADA. So yeah. And then next up we have exhibit number PSX00075. We've got the branch metrics presentation. This is a deep dive on Samsung, and this was posted October 19, 2023. So our deep dive on Samsung here posted. Okay. We got a little presentation here, just finishing my coffee. And it says, major Google headwinds in August 2020. In regards to technology, the headline here is Google in talks to take over more search tasks on Samsung phones. It looks like this is from Bloomberg News. And then it says Google is afraid of Samsung creating an Apple Spotlight type of search. Vertical search will cannibalize Google's main business. According to Jay and his team, Netflix/Spotify, Galaxy Store, and Branch will be impacted by this Google RSA amendment. They said they had tried to carve it out of Google, but it has a strong They said they had tried to carve it out, but Google has a strong stance on this. Google wants this to be retroactive, meaning that will also impact devices already shipped with services and solutions already launched. Then as it relates to the Google RSA, which is the Revenue Share Agreement 3.0 language and scope change, it says, in order for Samsung to qualify for Revenue Share Agreement 2.0 said Google must be the only web search engine on the device. And now it says Google must be the only connected search and internet search on the device. So yeah. See what you did there. On and off web. Interesting. And then it discusses introducing branch offline search. So, device update including branch service. So it goes to the branch includes all necessary data for search functionality. The user opts into the branch on the device search. And the user searches and clicks on the branch result. And the branch background syncs the settings and analytics. So on the other side here, the branch is including necessary data for the search functionality, so all user searches and interaction with the branch on the device search happens with zero latency. The settings and the analytics are synchronized in the background every 3 days. This next part here is redacted. And then it says January news, Wall Street Journal paused, or not, why am I saying Wall Street Journal? What the fuck is wrong with me? WJ paused the deal, whoever the fuck that is. And it says reconnaissance from our deal lead. And then this is redacted. It says the deal is dead for now, and he was informed to not work on it anymore. And then it's redacted, and then it says Wanjin positive on branch, but the opti was too high a risk for the reward, and then it's redacted. I don't know what the fuck that means, but okie dokie. Maybe we'll process this later, because that has happened for me in regards to going through all this. So yeah, and then it says April news, monetization is issue. And then it says reconnaissance from our new head of Next. This is redacted. It says confirmed verbally that key risk is Google deal, sacred in Samsung. The key issue is Samsung agreed not to monetize via app installs and search. And then we have redacted shit here. And then in regards to options, it says 1. Sue Google and Samsung and try to get injunctive relief, which will destroy their relationship forever. Not a good path. 2. Support United States versus Google case over the next 5 years. Not guaranteed. And then 3. Carrier pressure overrules Samsung's contract. This must build proof points with carriers to make it worth their fight. 4. Make an offer to Samsung worth the fight, which would have to be like $1 billion, and they must believe it, uncertain, and could be very near-term costly. And then 5. Integrate into another part of the product, non-search, which is having some early stage conversations, but these will be low value. So yeah, this is what was put into evidence, and it's redacted, so don't know too much context on it, but because obviously wasn't there and I need to process this better, but to deep dive on Samsung, let that marinate. So next up here, we're going to look at the Google presentation. This is exhibit number PSX00200. And this is the Google presentation, Google 2019 Commercial OKR, identical to, my bad, DX0142, which I'm assuming is another exhibit that we probably don't have access to. It says April 26, 2019. This was made available October 18, 2023. And so this shows the 2019 Commercial OKR. And so this is apparently highly sensitive, attorney-client privilege. So it shows here that the query growth is slowing. Did I say that right? I don't think I did. Query growth is slowing, and with commercial query growth closely following. So this is redacted. And then it says our 2019 OKRs to drive revenue. The 2019 Search OKR delivers substantially better and more modern search experiences. And in 2019, Commercial OKR significantly improved the search experience for users who express commercial intent. Okie dokie. And OKR, if I remember correctly, stands for Objective Key Results or some shit like that. Like objectives and the key results, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think I might be wrong, but something like that. And then it's redacted, and then it goes, driving commercial growth is not a simple effort. And so it says growth context. Sustainable growth takes time to materialize. Easy to drive short-term query growth that's user and lifetime negative. Or wait, that's user divided by lifetime negative. I don't know. This is redacted. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. It's redacted. Who cares? Okay. Query growth in commercial verticals has required substantial user experience investment. Okay. And so this is in relation to principles and considerations here. So we're looking at considerations, growth context. So it takes time to grow. That makes sense. Easy to drive short-term queries for the users. That makes sense. Divided by LT negative, that I don't know what they mean here, but it's also partly redacted. The query growth in the commercial verticals, that has required substantial user experience investment. That's where they're saying where they can monetize, right? So then the monetization context. New experiences can siphon ad clicks in the short term. So yeah. So for example, like when the featured snippets came about, and then when the AI shit comes about, sometimes this will prevent people from getting clicks. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll get the information from the search engine result page, or they'll get distracted by a feature. And then it says lag time between search launch and ads monetization, partly redacted. And it says hard for new formats to out-monetize search ads. Then regards to working together, it says a church-state separation between search, especially ranking, and ads is important to maintain. But when you look at the fact that in Louisiana, for example, right now, schools are forced, public schools have to put one nation under God in their classrooms. So is there really a division between church and state? And when you look at the concept of, residential schools, for example, has there ever been a division between church and states, right? So I always thought that was interesting. But anyway, let's move on to how this relates to principles. So focusing on greater user experience, focusing on long-term growth, and revenue is a motivator, not a decider, is what the speaking points here are from this presentation, I believe. And then it says here, range of challenges that make driving growth difficult, and particularly for commercial growth. We've aligned around a set of guiding principles to ensure success. This is truly a close across, I don't know what they mean by PA here, but whatever, fucking effort where we're all working together. This will lead to better outcomes for users and Google. So yeah. And then it says, historically, commercial intent has been underrepresented and underserved in search. Has it really? Has it? Okay. Anyway, it says, we have had strong separation between ads and search. However, ads strongly affect search. Redacted of clicks go to ads when an ad shows, and search has underrepresented these commercial intents. So here they're connecting also in some ways how short-term paid-per-click advertising can lead to long-term organic SEO rankings. And then it says, now ads and search are working together to recapture this commercial intent in search, while also improving ads quality via the latest signals. These foundational improvements will help users through complex commercial journeys. And so our goals here, eliminate friction and re-engage through entry points. It says, by aligning signals, we can make we can make foundational improvements to improve quality and recapture this commercial intent in search. Additionally, we can target the same horizontal growth techniques, alluding back to horizontal growth framework of reducing friction and re-engaging through new entry points in order to drive more traffic towards commercial use cases. So the difference between vertical and horizontal scaling, when you go into vertical scaling, that's when you're trying to invest more resources in the same avenue and method and way on the same campaign and location where you've been investing resources. When you go into horizontal scaling, this is when you're going to invest your resources into more different avenues. So it's just a means of looking at the way that you are scaling your resources and your goals. So yeah, and then we're going to look into our next slide here. It says search and ads are working together to accelerate monetization path. And it says as search experiences evolve, ad experiences also need to evolve, but today lag organic significantly. For example, jobs. With Mercury, search and ads are working together at the onset to accelerate monetization velocity. Building new ad experiences, for example, list views, scaling advertiser demand and inventory. So some speaking points here include, what we've been learning from the previous slide is that we should be working together sooner, which is what we're doing now. For example, in Jobs, we've actually created a large opportunity for a new paid listings ad format within Jobs. This means more queries and new ad formats equals larger revenue opportunity. Project Mercury is approaching our commercial verticals with search and ads from the onset. Challenges here are new user interface formats and new inventory formats from advertisers. Accelerating monetization recovery. Jobs was an example for what happens if we don't work together early enough. Working together from stats to increased velocity and consult on commercial viability. And then it goes into this last slide here. It says our 2019 goal is to increase commercial visits by redacted. And this is for the project name, Project Mercury. And it says 2019 Commercial OKR preamble. Ensure Google is an essential part of the fulfillment of commercial intent. Significantly improve the search experience for users who express commercial intent. Launch more than 3 deep vertical experiences in search and at least 1 in Chrome. And it says grow commercial visits by redacted via commercial specific efforts. And then it says there are short, medium, and long-term efforts, and revenue growth may lag commercial visit growth. So yeah, okie dokie. Fucking, and then that was the Google presentation on 2019 commercial OKRs. So now, let's see. We're going to look at PSX00204. Exhibit, that's the exhibit number. The exhibit title is B. Gomes email to N. Fox S. Thakur. I don't think I said that right. Reacts. And this is from March 23rd, 2019, posted November 2nd, 2023. So here we are getting to read some emails. We're going to have to go to a smaller window and enlarge this, I think. And in this smaller window here, the smaller window, what the fuck am I saying? In this email, so this is from Benedict Gomes, this is redacted. It's to Nick Fox and Shashidhar Thakur, this is also redacted, with Abhinav Taneja CC, and it says ads, and it says CY, but I don't know what the CY stands for, so that's fine. And I'm gonna drink some Mountain Dew now. And you know, I don't even like the fact that it's this color that bothers me, but fuck it. So it says, hey, here's what I want to send. And I think this is pronounced proc. Here's what I want to send proc. I don't think I'm saying that right. I am so sorry. Prior to the meeting. What do you think? Not helpful? I have to admit that I'm feeling annoyed both personally and on behalf of the team. This may be a useful framing too. Maybe worth turning into a doc? Ben. Okay. And then under that it says, definitely the main topic. I think there are many things being done, and this is misunderstanding between the teams that we need to sort out. I think your team somehow feels that we don't care about usage. This is just not true. Not true. And this is causing a lot of angst on both sides. Almost all the team now does, a pivot I got a meet to start a few years ago, is growth motivated. We do care very deeply. Saying that we don't feels very strange to my team. Most headcount, non-assistant, for search has gone into projects that are growth oriented, to the point I worry that we are really not investing in research or speculation adequately. However, our ability to predict growth associated with work we do in the short term months is still limited. The longer term years seems like there are very clear correlations between growth and investment and vice versa. No investment leading to declines. We have spun up efforts with your team to look at desktop by porting over mobile user interface tweaks to improve access points, zero query suggest, query box size, etc., suggest ranking, etc., latency efforts, which are a high priority already, but will get more attention. The Explorer team is working with the goal of increasing user journey length. Aside from latency, we have historically not been able to move queries in the very short term in a meaningful way. Some suggest changes do so, and some system changes do so. There is angst around the metrics. I think this angst is excessive since all good metrics will be correlated, but we are moving to a metric that will hopefully keep both teams happier and more in sync. There are issues around forecasting that have not been fully resolved. We can improve engagement in the short term. I know ways we could do this. This is the equivalent of RPM heroics. And RPM, it's like CPM, but it's RPM. So CPM stands for cost per thousand impressions. And that's a metric more people know because of its use in Facebook. And a lot of people who are familiar with those Facebook analytics, they're more familiar with CPM, which is when they charge you per thousand impressions, right? Well, RPM is revenue per thousand impressions. That's how much money you're making for every 1,000 views, basically. Um, so yeah, fucking, where are we at? Marco. Um, I'm gonna just reread this. It says, I know ways we could do this. This is the equivalent of RPM heroics, but that does not help you. But we don't have the levers or muscle to increase queries in the code yellow way. Um, and so they have two codes, code yellow and code red. And I'm forgetting what the fuck they are about because I've only covered each of them once. But basically the code yellow and code red are like these codes that they have relating to their sense of urgency and the way they want to grow and scale different aspects of the search platform. I think it's a very rough, poor, bad summary, basically good enough. What happened? So, um, it says, where are we at? My bad. To a certain extent, we will develop a bit of this with a tweaks type approach to entry points, even more focus on latency, etc. But in my honest opinion, this is just far more limited than increasing engagement. We could increase queries quite easily in the short term in user negative ways. Turn off spell correction, turn off ranking improvements, place refinements all over the page. Oh, I guess that's what they meant earlier. Like some of the ways that they could mine data from people um, could be done, but it would make user experience worse. Okay. Then it says, if we, as a company, want to go there, we should discuss that. Oh my god! This dude, okay, so my rough, poor summary in a nutshell of this whole email, he's basically saying, shut the fuck up, be fucking happy, and we might make shit worse for people. I'm just kidding, but yeah, okay. And then it says, it is possible that there are trade-offs here between different kinds of user negativity caused by engagement hacking. But I will say, I am deeply, deeply uncomfortable with this, and I'd be surprised if the ads team wants this. Okay, here we go. That's better. That's better. The nature of how you would easily increase queries is a key reason I don't like queries as an end metric. The easy ways are almost all bad. Having queries as a metric will, in my opinion, have a subtly bad effect as a launch metric, even if we decide not to do the bad things. My claim is that our best defense against query weakness is compelling user experiences that make users want to come back. This is why I care so much about organic shopping info as a driver of long-term query growth. It is one of the largest unaddressed areas we could easily have a better experience. We have not built that experience despite my pleas to do so for 4 years or more. Short-term revenue has always taken precedence. I think we are finally on the right track. I think we are also not thinking consistently about the page evolution. The search team strongly feels that we can get longer journeys by faster, smaller, in-page expansions. Ads is geared towards whole page experiences today. In-page expansions, think of the related questions unit, requires new, smaller ad experiences we are not yet building. We hope that feed will be another such opportunity and are pivoting the GSAs towards that. Again, this is a case where queries as a metric does the wrong thing for the product user. I think the teams are somehow thinking about the problem in fundamentally different ways, and this is causing unhappiness on both sides. We need to fix at least the I can't speak. We need to fix at least the communication and probably the reality to get a better place. I'm happy to work with you on doing so in the ways you feel are necessary for both teams. Ben. So, in other words, he was basically like, fuck you, bitch. You need a fucking reality check. Suck my fucking dick. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And then on Friday, March 22nd, 2019, Prabhakar Raghavan wrote, let's talk about this Monday, please. The current revenue CY. The fuck is that current year? Is CY current year? Okay. I'm gonna assume that. Who knows? The current revenue current year, that makes sense to me, was addressed by heroic RPM engineering, but the core query softness continues without mitigation. At this rate, the full year plan is a bad miss and will need drastic steps on the query side. It's only fucking March. How could you have missed that hard and you still got 9 more months to go for the full year? They're like, I don't like this. I don't like my life right now, so the whole fucking year is ruined. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, okay. And then it says on Friday, March 22nd, 2019, at 9:13, Benedict Gomes, redacted, wrote, "Congratulations! I suspect an additional good side effect is that some of the plans that this ramped up will play out well through the year. Then, so I wonder if some other shit. Oh, I'm reading it in the wrong order. Now I see. It was a reply. This is what that was a reply to. Fuck. Well, whatever. Fuck it. We're here now. And that was a reply to on Friday, March 22nd at 5:46. Jason Sparrow had said, +1, I appreciate the partnership here. Proud of the ex-FCN approach and of the outcome. Well done, Jay. And then on Friday, March 22nd at 5:44, Shiv Venkataraman, so sorry, I don't think I said that right, had said, "Thank you, team, for the great team effort on the CY, I guess you mean current year. Looking forward to the Chrome and search-related work streams that are continuing to give us a tailwind in Q2 and beyond." And then that's from Shiv. And then on Friday, March 22nd, 2019, Jerry Diskler had wrote, "Congrats on the exit and thank you all for the partnership that led to this excellent result. Looking forward to the continued partnership with the Search, Chrome, and sales teams on the remaining open issues. Best, Jerry." And then on Friday, Darshan Contact, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm saying these names correctly, had said, "Week 7 marks the end of our code yellow. We met both our exit criteria as of today. Ads and shopping teams just hit 1.0 on Q1 launch OKR with the launch of Sugar Shack. Previously, we had already met the other exit criteria for 1 week of revenue exceeding plan. There are several follow-ups from Sursa 19, improvements to ongoing collaboration between search and ads leadership and teams. For example, jointly review of ads heads-up process. Planned experiments to understand the impact of 2 major Chrome M69 releases and assess if there are opportunities to claw back some of the query declines. Work closely with search product team to suggest tweaks to improve query volume, and sales continue to push for the BFM changes to include RSA in creative excellence and drive keyword coverage. Our sincere thanks to everyone involved in helping us exit this code yellow in 7 weeks and facilitating future collaboration to limit such events. Current revenue performance. Google.com at redacted to plan for this week, redacted to plan expected for end of quarter, softer performance compared to prior weeks driven primarily by EMEA weakness due to recent Brexit news cycle and Dutch shooting leading to shift in query commerciality user distraction. This is so fucking dystopian. Yeah, people looking up deaths allowed us to monetize. I said death. DEATH. Goddamn. Anyway, fucking it said global desktop query weakness persists. And then this has like a chart about their performance and search related to mobile computer slash tablet or whatever and shit like that, but it's confidential, it's redacted. And then it goes into the technicalities by the product. This is super technical though, and so I'm just gonna not fucking read that. Fuck that shit. I'm gonna skip this technical shit that's redacted anyway. And all this is going into the very specific devices and platforms in which very specific quarterly goals were met, but most of that shit is redacted anyway, so whatever. And so it says, please let us know if you have any questions, Darshan. Okie dokie. And so processing this all because we had read it from top to bottom, but I didn't know I should have read it from bottom to top because of the order. So that makes the top of this even funnier to me because they're all celebrating. They're like, yeah, we've been doing a good job. We're meeting our fucking goals. Look at us kicking ass. And then they go, hey, what the fuck you think you're celebrating for? You kind of suck ass, bitches. Fuck you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But that's my fucking interpretation of the energy of this email thread. Um, anyway, but yeah, fucking, that's just my interpretation. So next up, we'll look over one more thing today, and then we're going to wrap up today's coverage, and I'll continue covering all of this in future coverage stream. Yeah, you know what the fuck I mean. So next up, we have item number PSX00562. We are looking at the Google presentation, Amazon app usage and impact from October 1st, 2020, posted November 7th, 2023. So this relates to the Google Amazon app usage and impact. And so app users are more frequent Google users is what they are saying here. But part of this is redacted, but the part that's not, it says, as expected, Amazon users are also more likely to be regular and frequent Google users. There is a slight correlation of higher Amazon app use to higher Google.com frequency. But in general, all Amazon app users see high Google.com usage. So yeah, and then some other redacted shit, and then it says, do users alter their Google usage after adopting shopping apps? 6 apps were analyzed. 3 retail-focused apps, 3 non-retail focused apps. Adoption is defined as the first use of the app in question. Study is at user level, and it says using redacted here, and then it's mobile Android devices, signed in users, United States only, and search revenue. Users are tracked for all of their available history. Revenue data from, is that 830 days of history? Query data has 600 days of history, and then it says redacted is used to identify a causal inference. And here it shows the logos for Amazon, Pinterest, eBay, Spotify, Walmart, and Twitter. Next up, part of this slide is also redacted, but what's not redacted says no evidence of negative impact on Google.com from app adoption. App adopters are correlated with increased revenue and queries on mobile. No significant change in desktop activity. No clear difference between retail and non-retail apps. Lift occurs immediately after adoption and continues past 15 months. Shopping queries also saw a higher lift. And then, last but not least here, what's not redacted says, no negative impact seen when controlling for new phone adoptions. And then it says, Amazon app adopters were analyzed to determine when they also acquired a new mobile device. The users were split into 4 groups depending on when they adopted the phone. Looking at the no new phone cohort, here is a significant mobile activity increase. By removing the phone from the impact as a variable, we see that Amazon adoption, or app adoption in general, is strongly correlated with increased mobile activity. So yeah. And so I haven't fully processed how these exhibits entirely tie in fully into the case that we've been looking at, but I feel like I'm starting to process that. So yeah, fucking I think as we cover the case more, and perhaps as I go through the evidence again, we'll process better on that connection as to the relevancy regarding how on the Google impact of the Amazon app usage. But I think that it's where Google is analyzing the influence of Amazon as a specialized search engine, how that impacts, their ability to rank, given how much of a giant Amazon is, as well as how so because Amazon has ad placements that involve Google, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I believe Amazon, so the internal Amazon functions, you know what I'm saying, all run ads and link to each other, but each of those pages rank in Google. So by Amazon being the giant it is, and because it's rankable, when people go look for things to buy and then they find these things in Amazon, I think that is, basically where we have that feedback loop, and that would possibly be like the what's happening with this presentation in regards to how just because people use this app with this specialized search engine doesn't necessarily impact their ability to have growth still because of that feedback loop. I guess that's what I'm taking from it. But yeah, so just to recap our coverage on the part 2 here, we have covered the trial exhibits, and we went over latency as it relates to Google's ability to provide search results as quick as Bing. We've gone over agreements between Google and Apple as it relates to both their joint cooperation agreement and the amendment to their information services agreement. We went over Samsung's Google Mobile revenue share agreement. We went over the branch metrics presentation on the deep dive on Samsung. We went over Google's presentation on their 2019 commercial objectives and key results, and that I believe they were having over their goals. And then we looked at an email chain between Google employees, which I thought was actually pretty fucking funny as I processed that. And we finished up here with our presentation from Google on Amazon app usage and the impact that it has on Google. And so yeah, that covers the trial exhibits that we began today. In my next stream, my current plan as of now is to continue covering the trial evidence. If I see more has come out about remedies, I might go ahead and cover that when that happens. But beyond that, my current plan is to get through these trial exhibits as quickly as possible, and then I will shift my legal documentation coverage focus to the other monopoly case as it relates to the ad technology, because everything that we've been looking at and discussing so far today is mostly related to the search monopoly as it relates to, I said monopoly, not only, monopoly as it relates to the case that we are discussing here with Google, because right now they are being accused of 2 different monopoly cases, and here brings me into our recap of the entire stream. So recapping the entire stream, we first began with what is the differences in these 2 monopoly cases, right? And so we have the search and the search ads monopoly case under Judge Brenkema. And that is all the material and trial exhibits we've been reviewing today, as well as the plaintiff presentation. Everything that we've looked at legal documentation wise has so far been focused on that. And that was initially filed, the initial complaint was filed in 2020. And then our next monopoly, which I will cover as after I wrap up these trial exhibits, that legal documentation coverage is Google monopoly as it relates to the complaint filed 2023 under, wait a minute, no. This one is Judge, okay. The 2020 case is Judge Mehta's case, M-E-H-T-A. The search monopoly 2020 case, Judge Mehta, M-E-H-T-A. The 2023 case, ad technology case, that's Judge Brenkema, B-R-I-N-K-E-M-A. I just said it wrong one time here in this conclusion, but overall, I believe I've relatively been able to get that correct in the writings, and yeah, so making that known, distinguishing, there's that difference there. So we reviewed that. Then we went over the plaintiff presentation. That plaintiff presentation is so worth watching because it really gives us an understanding, an entire recap of the entire fucking search monopoly case, and kind of outlines step by step how Google was able to build this monopoly, as well as explains how ranking in the search algorithm works on Google. Um, and then, yeah, so I'm really glad that we took the time to go through all of that. And then last but not least, we finished up with beginning our trial exhibits. We got through about 8 of those. And yeah, so we're gonna fucking keep pushing, keep moving. I got shit I gotta do today, and I've kind of been dicking around on this live stream a bit too long, so oops. But yeah, so I'm gonna go fucking get productive, feel productive. I need to do some shit. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. I will try to go live tomorrow night, but I have to work tomorrow and get some shit done tomorrow, so it might be Tuesday when I go live again. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of like addicted to doing this shit, so y'all probably. Whoops. Oh well. Anyway, I'm wondering if I should be using addicted out of context, but like the recovering alcoholic in me does feel like I am replacing one addiction with another. So, yeah. 5 years sober from alcohol. Whoopee. Yay. Little things in life. All right. Now we're really out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and yeah. Bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.